All right, hello and welcome to the whatevereth episode of JTB Sports because I've lost track.
Who even knows?
Um, Today we're going to be going over NFL free agency and probably talk about some trades and just some general off-season stuff that has happened the past couple weeks. I believe our last episode was a little bit of a recap of the Super Bowl and me saying I was wrong about Jamar Chase.
Mhm.
So, with that being said, let's go over the Bengals free agent signings. So, free agency started. Um, Cincinnati, right out of the gate, signed Alex Kappa, right guard from Tampa Bay, who's protecting Tom Brady, and Ted Karras, the center from the New England Patriots, who have one of the best offensive lines in the league. So, pretty two pretty solid signings, I'd say. Um,
Mhm.
Then the next few days were really quiet, and it was making me uncomfortable because they got off to such a fast start with signing two new starting offensive linemen, and then it kind of fizzled out. And I this left me concerned considering that they needed basically to replace the entire offensive line other than left tackle, not just the right guard, and center. Anyway, in the meantime, I guess they did sign Hayden Hurst, tight end from Atlanta, who was drafted by Baltimore as a first round pick. Didn't really pan out. I guess I can't say he's a bust just yet, but I mean, being on two teams within 4 years is not exactly what you'd
It's not
want in a
ideal.
franchise
Mhm.
uh, tight end. But they signed Hayden Hurst to a 1 year deal, considering CJ Uzoma left because he was asking for a massive payday, and I guess front office didn't really see that in him, considering he's a great locker room guy and a good leader, but production wise, he was just kind of meh. So Hayden Hurst isn't really a downgrade, I would say. But finally, a couple days later, Cincinnati signed Lyle Collins, the right tackle from the Dallas Cowboys, who they had cut to save cap space. Now, there was a whole little drama with this because he went to visit Cincinnati, and there were multiple reports that he had left Cincinnati without a deal, which were false. He was going to leave Cincinnati without a deal, but they stopped him just before he left and made him sign a deal. The issue was Cincinnati, the reason they have been so bad with free agent signings the past God knows how long is because they do not like handing out guaranteed money like other teams do. So basically, the issue was they were not giving Lyle Collins enough guaranteed money in his new contract, but finally they adjusted and gave him what he wanted. So, that being said, the other those are really the only free agent pickups were those three linemen and Hayden Hurst as far as new players. The others were really just re-signings. They re-signed BJ Hill, the defensive tackle who picked off Mahomes in the AFC Championship, which I was a fan of that because I think he is a lot better than Larry Ogunjobi, who we let walk in free agency. And unfortunately, for God knows what reason, they decided to re-sign Eli Apple to a $4 million contract. Considering he was only making $1 million last year, they raised his pay to $4 million. I'm really hoping that Cincinnati drafts a corner in the first round now, and he plays good enough to where they cut Eli Apple before the season starts, because there's a good chance that will happen in August. The only issue now on the offensive line is left guard. Right now, that position is being given to Jackson Carman, the previous second round pick out of Clemson. And the reason I'm concerned with this is because he really did not show that he was a starting offensive lineman last year. he was a starter for a little bit just because of how bad the line was. And apparently he played so poorly that he got replaced by a 6th-round pick in Hakeem Adeniji. So obviously I'm a little concerned with that. I wish we would re-sign Quinton Spain. Yes, he had that awful missed block on Aaron Donald.
It's really funny.
In the Super Bowl, but he was still a relatively reliable average guard. So I'm kind of hoping we re-sign him, considering he's going to be really cheap. And say if Jackson Carman proves me wrong and actually plays better than Spain, then they can just cut him, and they won't really lose any or a massive amount of money doing so.
So a contingency plan, really.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So other than that, I think it's been a pretty good offseason for my team. I mean, they got exactly what they needed in offensive linemen. Kind of hoping they'd sign some more corners other than re-signing Eli Apple. But I'm guessing that's what Cincinnati's going to address in the draft. So,
yeah, I mean, anytime Cincinnati actually does something to address a real problem that they have, I'd say that's a win. This is the first time I've seen them make an effort to fix their O-linemen. Well, actually, no. Last year they made an effort. They signed Riley Reef.
They signed Riley Reef, an old guy who was probably below average. And the sad thing was, he was actually like quite possibly the best offensive lineman on the team last year, and he wasn't in the Super Bowl or any of the playoffs because he had gotten hurt.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, you sent over like the PFF grades for your O-lineman from last year versus this year, and last year you had like 3 guys under 50, and now they're all above 70. So, I mean, huge upgrade.
One thing I'd like to mention with that, though, is that was including Quinton Spain. So I guess I don't know, the people who made that might have been expecting them to re-sign Quinton Spain, which they still can. There's still time to do that. But as of now, Jackson Carman would be the starting left guard, and he had a PFF of 58.
Oh, man.
So,
That's
like
rough.
I said, I really hope they re-sign Quinton Spain or get some veteran to take or to compete with him, because I really don't like just handing him that position, considering he did not earn it.
Yeah, and I'm sure Quinton Spain is a perfectly fine like backup guard. He gave us a pretty good meme. It was floating around Twitter after the Super Bowl. He was defending a ghost, or he was blocking a ghost.
Yeah, I don't know what he was.
Oh yeah.
Well, sadly,
yeah.
he was the second best offensive lineman on the team at that point.
I feel bad for Burrow, man. Poor Joe Burrow.
Yeah, the thing was, though, out of college, like when he was drafted, they talk about your flaws when you get drafted too, and he already has a bad offensive line, and one of his negative traits is he took too many sacks in college too.
Oh.
And watching him last year, maybe I wasn't seeing what he was seeing. Maybe there really was no open receivers, but there are a lot of times where I got frustrated because I felt like he actually had a decent amount of time in pass protection, but he didn't throw, and then he ended up taking a sack. I'm like, dude, do something.
Yeah, I feel like Kirk does that sometimes too, so I feel your frustration.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess overall, I think the Bengals did a good job. They addressed their main issue. So yeah, hopefully that'll push them over that hump that they weren't able to get over last year. But we'll see.
Right. Now tell me about what the Vikings have done, because other than Zadarius Smith, I haven't really seen much out of them.
If you want to go ahead, Jay, you can talk about it first.
Honestly, do you have like the page pulled up and stuff, Brett?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do know what they did for free agency,
Okay.
so I guess I can.
You go ahead.
So yeah, obviously this is the first offseason under the new regime for the Vikings. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah is the new GM. Kevin O'Connell's our new head coach. And the biggest question entering the offseason was, what do we do about Kirk Cousins? Is he going to get traded? Is he going to get extended? Because his cap hit is certainly quite large, and it makes it hard for any team to try to improve the team when your quarterback's cap hit takes up for like more than 40% of the entire cap. And they did come to agreement on a 1-year extension with Kirk by cutting, and it made his cap hit about $15 million cheaper this year to allow the Vikings to make some of those additions in free agency that they wanted to do. See, I remember kind of sitting on Twitter on the day one of free agency, wondering what the Vikings could possibly do. I thought maybe because the Kirk restructure was out of the way, I thought they maybe try to target like a cornerback or maybe an edge rusher, and they eventually did get an edge rusher in Zadarius Smith, but on day one it was kind of quiet. And then the first signing they did was a defensive tackle from the Bills named Harrison Phillips. And I thought that was kind of weird because the Vikings already have like a shit ton of defensive tackles and nose tackles. They had
That
Dalvin
and
Tomlinson.
Sorry.
Oh, no,
I
go
was
ahead.
gonna say that, and isn't like the interior, isn't like Buffalo's interior defensive line like shit? Or is that their interior offensive line I'm thinking of?
I don't necessarily know. When I look up everything about Phillips, he seems to be like a solid nose tackle, so he's more of a run-stopping defensive lineman, and so
we did lose Michael Pierce, right? Sorry to interrupt, but
yeah, Phillips is basically the Michael Pierce replacement, because after we signed Phillips, the Vikings apparently were trying to find a way to also keep Pierce, but they couldn't come to like a restructure, so they just ended up cutting Pierce, saving about like $6 million in cap by doing that. So yeah, Harrison Phillips, he seems, I guess that's like their younger, cheaper, but probably overall less talented Michael Pierce. So like, okay, whatever, like it's going to be a new defense for the Vikings anyway. It's going to be a 3-4, so I'm not sure how often like Harrison Phillips and like their other defensive tackle Dalvin Tomlinson will even be on the field at the same time that often. They probably will be because they're just like the most talented interior defensive linemen we have. But like they're both like run stopping specialists, so it's kind of weird because like I imagine you still want to generate some pass rushing threat there, but
and I suppose they think they'll get that from Zadarius and Daniil.
Yeah, for sure. That's probably what they are thinking. So we'll see how that works out. But I think Phillips will be fine for us. It just kind of seemed like a weird first free agency move to do.
Speaking of the Bills, though, we did get an O-lineman from them too, right? Didn't we? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
I don't think so, no. The only O-lineman we signed, it was like this backup O-lineman from the Broncos.
Okay.
He's like a depth sign. Like it was anything of note really. That's the only old lineman I've seen signed this offseason. So
gotcha.
So yeah, after the Phillips signing, they go out and sign Jordan Hicks, who is the
Cardinals,
linebacker.
Right?
Yep, yeah. From the Cardinals, former Eagle linebacker as well. I think he was on that Eagles Super Bowl roster when they won the Super Bowl, and he's basically a second starting middle linebacker. And the Vikings shifting defensive schemes, they will be playing 2 middle linebackers now, with Jack Hendricks and Jordan Hicks. So in this defensive change, that probably means they're not bringing back Anthony Barr, because Hicks seems to just be like a slightly younger and a better pass coverage linebacker than Anthony Barr. So that's probably what they'll ask of him to do, just be a better fit in the defense, I think. So, yeah, Barr's probably not coming back. He's still a free agent at the time of this podcast. And, yeah, so I think Hicks can be just another solid free agency signing. And then I think the next thing they did, there's rumors about like Danielle Hunter being traded and if they're going to restructure his contract, whatever. They eventually did come to a solution there. They like converted it to signing bonus, so that cleared up some space. And then they restructured like Harrison Smith's contract, Adam Thielen's contract. And then the next big thing they did was sign Zadarius Smith to like a 3-year,
Huge.
$40 million deal. Smith is coming off, I don't remember what injury it was last year, but he missed all of last year except for like the last game of the season, I think. And so yeah, the Vikings, they signed Zadarius Smith, and he had missed the previous season with an injury, but the years before that, 2019, he had like 13 and a half sacks. 2020, he had 12 sacks, I think. So him and Danielle Hunter paired up can be quite the formidable pass rushing duo, and I think that's what the Vikings expect them to be if they can both stay healthy. And so, yeah, that's like the most exciting thing they did this free agency. And then as the most recent thing they did was sign like some depth cornerback who was also a former Packer. Like he's a slot nickelback corner. So yeah, just kind of another small signing there. But yeah, so Darius Smith, the biggest thing they've done so far this free agency, and I'm not sure what else they could do, but they'll probably look to the draft for their additional needs that they have. So yeah.
Yeah. That's a good recap. I'd say I'm pretty happy overall. I like the Hicks signing because like we did need some linebackers, and obviously the Smith signing is just enormous. Like he was a superstar before his injury, and so I'm hoping he'll still be that good, or even close to that good. But yeah, I mean, I'm good with us keeping Kirk for now because honestly I don't really know like who we would have gotten besides Deshaun Watson, and we didn't really want him.
No.
Which we'll get into
We've
that later.
seen, yeah, we've seen what it's done to the Browns, but yeah, we'll get into that later. But yeah, I mean, like in terms of our O-line, I'm okay with us not really doing much in free agency there because as far as I can remember, they weren't like egregiously bad last year. They were fairly average, just from my memory. I don't know their actual like PFF grades and stuff, but they didn't stand out as being terrible last year. So I figure that's all right. And yeah, that's all I really have to say.
All right, so we're going to talk about a couple of interesting trades that have happened because, boy, oh boy, has there been a couple of trades that have happened this offseason. We'll start with, I think, was the first massive one, was Russell Wilson to the Broncos. I was actually shocked at this because I know Russell Wilson had said that he was unhappy in Seattle, but I still just didn't think he was going to actually be traded, considering he spent his entire career in Seattle up to this point.
It was a
So-
shocker. It kind of came out of nowhere. It was one of those where you see the ESPN notification and your eyes kind of pop out of your head a little bit. You're like,
That
oh
is
my
exactly
gosh.
what happened to me.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did. But so the Broncos traded for Russell Wilson. What did they get in return again, other than Drew Lock and Noah Fant? What picks did they get? There's like
I
a
might have
first.
to.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up.
I think it was a first and a second.
Russell Wilson trade. Let's see.
We'll cut this part out.
Sounds good.
Let's see if
Okay, so they get Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, 2 first rounds in 2022. Or in 2022, they get the number 9 overall, and they get one for 2023 as well. And then 2 second-round picks, the number 40 this year, and then one in 2023. And then a 2022 fifth-round selection. And then also a 4th. Holy smoke. So they get 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a 5th, and a 4th. Plus Drew Lock and Noah Fant.
And Shelby
for
Harris,
Russell
who's a
Wilson.
pretty good guy.
And Shelby
pretty
Harris.
decent pass rusher, I think.
That is such an insane haul.
They're selling their entire soul, their soul for Russell Wilson, basically.
And I just want to talk about that quick because I mean, I know that Russell Wilson had a finger injury on, I think it was on his throwing hand, correct,
Yep,
last
it
year?
was.
And when he came back from that, he was not good. Just to put it, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He wasn't good.
No.
And so I I feel like you could probably just dismiss that and say, well, he's coming off of a finger injury to his throwing hand, so obviously he's not going to be as good when he comes back. But that's like a little bit concerning, enough to where you shouldn't throw away your entire future and young players on your roster for him. I don't know. It's risky in my book. It's risky.
Yeah, it's we're at a Herschel Walker 2.0 possibly. One of these
Yeah.
massive trades.
Uh,
I know I keep bringing that up. I like torturing you guys.
Of
Um,
course.
but no, I feel like one of these massive trades is going to blow up. At least one of them has to. I doubt all of these are going to work. But
We all want the same one to blow up.
yep, and we'll get into that. But do we
Yeah,
have any more thoughts on the Russell Wilson trade? I mean, everybody says this makes the Broncos an immediate Super Bowl contender.
I disagree.
I don't know about that because yeah, they got a new head coach, but they're also in like the toughest division in football right now, which I think that whole division's just going to cannibalize each other.
I think so.
But
yeah.
I don't know. I think it maybe makes them a playoff contender, but I highly doubt they're going to get to the Super Bowl, especially with considering how competitive or how stacked the AFC is, let alone the AFC West.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. And I mean, the Broncos have a good like wide receiver core right now, so that should help out Russell Wilson, I'd say. But it's not as good as Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, so we'll see how he adjusts to having slightly worse wide receivers. That's no disrespect to Jerry Jeudy and those guys and Tim Patrick. But yeah, I'd say probably playoff contenders is where I'd put him as well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't really have much else to add, but I will say, yeah, it is quite the huge trade. The Broncos gave up a lot, but I don't know. They're pushing all their chips to the table. You have to give up a lot to get a lot, and they believe that Wilson can be like, I guess, their Peyton Manning, get them back to the playoffs for the first time since the Super Bowl. Since the 2015 Super Bowl. So I like the trade for both teams. But for Seattle, it's going to be a couple of years or multiple years because it's going to take a while till you can find your next quarterbacks, and
And
I imagine they'll be bad for a while. So
yep,
yeah,
you know what? And you know what?
Hmm.
Nobody's gonna feel bad for them.
No, I won't.
Considering, yeah,
yeah, I won't.
they did fail to win their second Super Bowl, but they got a Super Bowl and then they made the playoffs like the next 9 out of 10 years. Yeah, I don't think that I'm probably got that number wrong, but I don't
Somewhere
think
around there.
I'm not gonna feel bad for them, and I doubt the rest of the NFL will. They basically were a shoe-in for the playoffs every year, and kind of like things go, you had your time, now step aside.
Yeah, definitely the dominant Seattle Seahawks era is over. The Russell Wilson era is over. So it'll be interesting to see what they do because, like, obviously you want to keep DK because he's a young receiver and he can be a part of the rebuild. But I wonder what they do with, like, guys like Tyler Lockett. Like, do you want to keep him around for the rebuild or maybe send him off somewhere? It'll be
Um,
interesting.
yeah. That being said, let's get into the next trade. The trade that I don't think any one of us likes is the Deshaun Watson to the Cleveland Browns for 3 first-round picks, I believe, and a third and a fourth. I might be missing a few there, or a fourth and a fifth, something like that. But
Sounds
nonetheless,
right.
3 first-round picks.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
hated this. because I thought the Browns were on the right path with Baker Mayfield. Yes, he struggled last year, but I mean, he was playing hurt. And I don't know. It just seems like the Browns had finally got their franchise quarterback. Considering they picked up his fifth-year option, I thought, yeah, he struggled last year, but I think he's going to be back on the right track this year. They say, fuck that. They completely throw him under the bus, and they end up trading their entire future for a guy who's allegedly or has been accused of sexual assault. And yeah, like I
An
said,
adult.
he's been away for a year, so you don't know if he's even gonna be the same. Also, something I haven't mentioned with you guys is I already wasn't a fan of him in 2020 because he kind of was to me, he was kind of giving off the pouty vibe because he was on a shitty team now. Which, yeah, it might get to you eventually when you're constantly on a team that sucks, but this was his first losing season with them. So
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of how he acted with Houston already. And then
Yeah.
obviously what happened afterwards. I do not like Deshaun Watson. I'm not gonna bother to hide it. I mean, you can probably already tell that I don't like him. And I hate the Browns even more now because the sad thing was I had a soft spot for Cleveland. Granted, they're in my division, but I still had a soft spot for them because, kind of like me, they know what it's like to lose a lot. They know what it's like to lose more than I do. And to see
Yeah.
them finally be good was kind of a breath of fresh air, especially considering they clobbered the Steelers, who had bullied them and Cincinnati for the past how many years. So I had a soft spot for them, and now I think I hate them as much as the Steelers because of what they did.
Yeah, this is not good. I mean, they go out and say they want an adult at QB,
Yeah,
and they signed
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson, who's accused by 22 women of
of sexual assault.
yeah, and I mean, like we're not naive here. We know that he probably did
There's no way.
most.
There are people who falsely accuse people of crimes like that, but when it's 22 people, there is
Yeah.
absolutely no way he is completely innocent.
Yeah, and like when you're Deshaun Watson, you're gonna get out of that without facing.
Yep,
Yeah, that's
because
just how it works.
that's how the NFL works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many memes on the Bengals subreddit of like Bengals fans and Ravens fans like giving each other a high five or a fist bump of it's saying the only team in the division who doesn't have a quarterback accused of sexual assault.
Oh man.
So
Yeah. It's not good. And oh man, Baker
but
Mayfield, man. I just
I
want to
feel
talk
bad for
about
him.
him. I feel like when you think of quarterbacks who are just dedicated to their city and their team, I think Baker Mayfield would have topped the charts of people who just were so loyal and committed to their team. Like he brought that energy to his team. He was a true leader. And what do the Browns do? What do they
They
do?
say
They
fuck
say,
you, bye,
"Yep." He played through a whole season with a torn labrum for them.
which he shouldn't have
And
done. I
yeah,
think we can all agree he should not have done. He should have
yeah.
just rested and let Case Keenum play because Case Keenum is honestly not that much of a downgrade.
He's pretty good. I like Case Keenum. I mean, I love Case Keenum, obviously, and I'm sure Brett does too. Um,
Yeah.
but that's besides the point. And now Baker is just in a terrible situation. Like
Yeah,
he's stuck with he might be stuck with the Browns as Deshaun Watson's like backup, even though if that happened, he'd probably hold out.
I think there's a
Um,
good chance they're gonna cut him. If they can't find anybody who will trade for him, then they'll cut him. And
yeah,
then there are rumors that the Steelers might sign him,
that would be
ironically,
interesting. I
because Mitch Trubisky is probably signed as more of a backup. because I feel like the Steelers are going to draft a quarterback, or they could give
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield a chance, which would be very ironic. And that would be
Well,
the only case if they do pick up Baker Mayfield, if he does get cut by the Browns and then the Steelers pick him up, that will be the one time I will cheer for the Steelers. I
yeah.
can't fathom, it's hard for me to fathom cheering for the Steelers, but if Baker Mayfield gets signed by the Steelers and is the starting quarterback and plays the Browns, I will cheer for the Steelers for that in those
I will
games.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally on the Baker revenge arc. I'm totally for it. Hopefully, whichever he does end up on ends up getting revenge for him against the Browns. But yeah,
So obviously, we all agree that we hate this trade for Cleveland. We all dislike Cleveland now
Yeah,
because of it.
unfortunately.
And if it couldn't get any worse. If it couldn't get any worse, obviously Houston got a huge haul.
You guys sound like
for
robots
Deshaun.
right now.
Then
You keep
Cleveland goes on
freezing.
to give him a 5-year, $230 million contract, fully guaranteed.
yeah, you're cutting out, Brett.
Yeah, you're like a robot.
And
Can you hear us, Brett?
I'm cutting out.
Hello?
I can
Oh
hear
my
you guys.
God,
Hello.
what the hell? A second time?
Okay,
I got a full internet connection. I don't know why it's being like this.
okay. So Thomas is looking smooth, and Brett, you're still glitching for me.
You look smoother on my end.
Okay, I think it's fixed now. I think we're good.
Okay, so
To
continue.
fix. Okay.
Never
So
mind. Damn it.
Am I robotic again?
Yeah, for
A little
me.
bit, yeah.
Hello. Okay. I don't
Here,
know why.
let's
I mean,
just,
early. I mean,
now I can't
it
even
could
hear you
be.
at all.
It's
You can't
probably
hear
on
him,
my
I can
end.
hear him.
I don't
Okay,
know
when
why.
we're
Hello,
gonna make
Brett?
this a cut moment and just redo what you were gonna say, because we're cutting all of this out. And now Jay looks like a 16-bit video game.
Hello?
You look like something on Super
Um,
Nintendo.
Yeah. Man, why does every voice chat have to be shitty one way or another?
I don't know, I'm plugged in.
Skype.
I'm wired in, so I don't know if it's me or...
I-
Okay, I think it's better. You guys both look a lot better, and
That's what I said last time, and then immediately when we started again, Brett started glitching.
Okay, is it good on your guys' end? Because it's good on mine.
You guys are both
Yeah.
looking smooth right now, but as soon as he starts talking again, I guarantee he'll start glitching.
Well, we gotta try at some point. All right,
Yep.
Brett, redo what you were gonna say.
Okay. Are we good? We're
Yep.
good. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So obviously we all disliked the trade. We hated it. We dislike the Browns now because of it. But if it couldn't get any worse, the huge haul that they had to give up for Deshaun Watson, the Browns shortly after trading for him, they give him a 5-year, $230 million contract, all fully guaranteed. And since the NFL and the Browns probably both know that Deshaun Watson will be put on the commissioner's exempt list or be suspended in some form for the next season, there's language in the contract to make it where Deshaun's cap hit next year is only $10 million. His signing bonus is about $9 million, and his base salary is about $1 million. And so when the NFL would suspend a player, they take the money out of your base salary. So they made the contract a certain way where they know Deshaun's going to get suspended. The fine that he has to pay, the hit that he takes out of his base salary won't be as bad as if it were to be, because in 2023 he's going to make $46 million. That's his base salary. And if he got suspended for the 2023 season, it'd be a much bigger cut that the NFL would take out of that for being suspended. So overall, just a really shitty situation. I feel bad for the Browns fans that feel like us, where they just probably dislike their team now.
A lot of
they
them
don't
have
want.
been defecting to Cincinnati. Looking at the Bengals subreddit, a lot of them, because Cincinnati and Cleveland are obviously in the same state, a lot of them have been defecting to the Bengals. So,
Yeah,
hey, you're welcome
I don't
here.
blame them.
You're
New
welcome
fans.
here. But yeah,
Um,
back to what you were talking about with the contract. What the fuck? Okay, 230 million fully guaranteed, averaging 46 million a year
Oh my
for a
lord.
quarterback. And let's say this goes like every other quarterback the Browns have had for the past 20 some years, and it completely blows up in their face, which I hope it does. I think we all do. Then it doesn't matter. You still have to pay him the entirety of that contract because it's fully guaranteed, which is just a beyond terrible move. Like, I was never a fan of fully guaranteed contracts to begin with. I didn't like it when Kirk Cousins got that 84 million fully guaranteed contract back in what, 2018? So,
Yeah.
oh my God, the Browns are so inept. And then the fact that, I mean, what you said, how if he gets suspended, it's only going to come out of his base $1 million salary. So they're basically like, yeah, I mean, the way I perceive that this might not actually be how it is, but to me, the way I perceive that is like, yeah, we know you are kind of a dick or a bad person, but we're just gonna set it up way so you can get away with it.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Cleveland.
basically,
Fuck you.
yeah.
They are so desperate that they
They're
are
so,
willing
I mean,
to.
I know sports is a winning business, but at what point do you like put your foot down and like say no?
Yeah.
Like, this is going way too far.
I
They
mean,
completely ruined their
everybody.
credibility and their public image to me too. Like I said, I hate the Browns now because of this.
It's tough because the Browns were one of the most likable teams in the
They
NFL.
were.
Everybody rooted for them. I did, and I wasn't even that
I
pissed
did
when they
too.
beat us when we went to the game because they're the
Yeah,
Browns.
I'm a Bengals fan and I was cheering for them somewhat. And
Um,
now I hate them.
yeah, I feel bad for that one dude we were talking to on the way out who was such a big Browns fan. I can't imagine how he's feeling right now.
I remember
But
that guy shouting, "Yeah, we're going to the Super Bowl! We're going to the Super Bowl!" as we were leaving because he's a Browns fan. He's like,
uh,
"Browns versus Packers, I guarantee it."
poor guy.
Yeah, that didn't really
Oh,
pan out, did it?
No. But yeah, I mean, like you guys say, it's just really kind of shady and just kind of, I don't know exactly the right adjectives to use, but it's shady
It sucks.
um,
I hate it.
that they actually decided to, you know, make the financial blow on him so small. And I mean, like, I'm pretty sure this will probably end up working out for them, which sucks because Deshaun
Yeah,
Watson is like pretty much a generational talent. It's unbelievable that him and Patrick Mahomes were both in the same draft, just two next level superstar quarterbacks. He's just really, really good. And I can't imagine that's going to change. So, if I were to guess, this will probably work out for the Browns, which sucks, but
I
we can
really hope
hope.
they don't. If they win a Super Bowl with Deshaun Watson, then there is no justice in this world.
Agreed.
I am gonna say that if Deshaun Watson wins a Super Bowl with the Browns, there is no justice in this world.
You
If
know what
it
I would
blows up in their
love?
face, if it blows up in their face like it normally does, then that is karma. That is
Yeah,
plain and simple karma.
I agree. The most glorious possible thing that could happen is if Baker ended up in the NFC and then they both went to the Super Bowl and Baker ended up beating Deshaun, but like that's not going to happen. I'm not delusional. Baker's not a Super Bowl quarterback, probably. But just imagine if that happened, how glorious it would be.
Um, well, now that we got that on the way, we should probably move on to the next trade, which just happened a few days ago. Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins. Now, I did not see this coming at all because Tyreek Hill didn't really express any discontent or unhappiness or displeasure with the Chiefs. This just kind of came out of nowhere because I think the Chiefs did offer him a new contract and he's just like, nope, that's not enough.
Yeah.
So what did they trade for him
he's-
again?
I think wasn't it just like a bunch of picks? I don't remember there
It was
being an
picks.
actual
There were no
like.
players, but I can't remember how many first round picks were traded.
Let me see. It was pretty insane, and it was a huge haul for just a wide receiver. Like it was the amount of picks that you'd expect to trade for like a quarterback or something.
Yeah.
So let me
Which
figure that out.
it begs the question, while you find that out, it begs the question, like, how effective is he going to be? Because obviously he's one of the best wide receivers in the game, but Tua's his quarterback. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say Tua's just complete crap, but these past 2 seasons, he has just really shown that he's just not that guy. He kind of makes
He's
me think of
average.
Mitchell Trubisky. I've called him Mitch Trubisky 2.0 at certain points because they drafted him 5th overall, and he's not anywhere near the level as Burrow or Herbert from that same draft because they took Tua over Herbert. And the funny thing was,
Yeah.
that it was leaked a couple weeks ago after the Super Bowl that the Dolphins actually tried trading up to the number 1 spot to take Burrow, and the Bengals declined. I can't remember what it was. I think it was 3 first-round picks. They wanted Burrow really
Wow.
badly, and that might be wrong. There's a good chance that's wrong, but I know that they wanted to trade up to the number 1 spot to get Burrow. They wanted Burrow. But
It's actually crazy that I can't believe the Bengals must have wanted him super bad too to turn down that many.
I mean, it was a perfect fit because Joe Burrow is from Ohio.
Mhm.
So, yeah, obviously I'm happy we took Burrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked out. So
let's see. First round, 2022 first round pick, number 29 overall, and then a second, a fourth, and then a fourth and a sixth in the 2023 draft.
So, capital-wise, that isn't super high, but that is a lot of draft picks.
Yeah.
But like I said, I just don't know how effective he's going to be because, Tua's his quarterback, and Tua just hasn't shown that he's that guy thus far. He just kind of more of a game manager, kind of like I said, he makes me think a lot of Mitchell Trubisky. And I feel like
Yeah.
Tua is going to be one of those quarterbacks like Jared Goff or Mac Jones where they got to be in the perfect situation to be able to excel. And I mean, now that you think about it, it's not going to get more perfect than this because he's got a new offensive line, which was a problem last year, and he's got
Yeah.
all kinds of good receivers to throw to. So,
I mean, he's got arguably the best receiver in the game, arguably.
yeah,
And he's also got Jalen
Jalen
Waddle, who
Waddle.
is like a really good receiver. Like those are that might be the best wide receiver duo in the game. I'd have to think about it more, but can you guys think of any off the top of your head that are better than Tyreek and Jalen Waddle?
Possibly Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
Possibly.
Possibly.
And I guess you
yeah.
could throw. I was gonna say Jefferson Thielen, but Thielen's past his prime, so no. Who else? Devontae and who else do the Raiders have? Is he the only
Exactly.
receiver on?
Hunter Renfro. He's kind of a third
Renfro.
receiver though.
Renfro's good. He almost made the Pro Bowl last year. I remember he had like 1,000 yards. So yeah, maybe them, but
Got any more
yeah.
thoughts on this trade?
I think. Oh yes. So after the Dolphins traded for Hill, they gave him a record-breaking contract as well.
which was higher
Hill's now
than it was higher
higher
than
than
Devontae Adams,
Levante's.
wasn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. What the whole thing that brought up this contract situation was what I think the reason so many receivers wanted to get paid, or I mean, Devontae Adams wanted to get paid a lot, and obviously Tyreek Hill was. I feel like the Christian Kirk contract has something to do with this because what they pay the Jaguars. I wanted to talk about this is a bit unrelated to trades, but the Jaguars went all in on free agents this year, and they signed fucking Christian Kirk, who's a decent receiver considering the Jaguars had basically no good receiver or really good receivers last year. So Christian Kirk, I mean, makes a good number 2 receiver, but they made him like a contract wise, he's like in the top 10 now. Like
I thought that
he's
was
got
really weird.
it just shows that the Jaguars do not know what they're doing because their GM Trent Baalke is an idiot. This is the same
That
guy that traded away C.J. Henderson, a first-round pick, for David Arnold.
oh
Who?
yeah, the tight end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Dan,
back.
yeah.
And
Dan.
he's also had a say in drafting Travis Etienne, who we don't know how good he is as a player, but
Dumbass.
you don't draft a fucking running back in the first round when you already have James Robinson.
Yeah. That the Christian Kirk signing was just baffling. When I saw that, I was like, Christian Kirk got that contract? What?
It just shows that Trent Baalke does not know how to manage a football team. And I remember the Jaguars were horrified when they hired this guy because he single-handedly ran the 49ers into the ground during
Mhm.
that 2012 to 2016 time where they
Yeah.
went from a Super Bowl team to one of the worst teams in the league. And I remember seeing that last game of the season after they beat the Colts when like Trent Baalke was leaving the stadium. Like there were fans outside and they were like shouting, Trent, please retire. Please, please retire. And he actually looked at the guy saying it before he got in his car. This is great.
That's funny. Oh man.
Anyway, back to it. Next, now we got a couple. Those are the massive trades. A couple smaller. We'll go over a couple smaller ones. Another one that just happened recently was Matt Ryan to the Colts. Now, I kind of feel like in the same boat as when they got Phillip Rivers, is like kind of a last hurrah. The Colts really have not been good at fixing their quarterback position ever since Andrew Luck left. They've kind of been it's kind of been a revolving door because they've had Jacoby Brissett and Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, and now Matt Ryan. And Matt Ryan is probably not going to be there more than a couple years because he's pretty
Yeah.
old.
It's interesting because like the Colts, I kind of feel for them because when Andrew Luck retired, it was what, like the preseason that year,
Yep.
which sucked for them because like he's kind of just hanging them out to dry there, and they have a really good team besides the quarterback, and so I'm just like imagining what would the Colts have done if Andrew Luck were still with them. They would be so much better.
Yeah,
It's
probably.
like their run game insane. Jonathan Taylor is, I mean, with Derrick Henry, he's in the conversation for best running back in the league. They've got some good receivers. Their O-line is unbelievable. Their defense is solid. Like they're good. They just need a quarterback, and it
Basically.
sucks. It sucks
Which
that Andrew Luck retired when he did.
it sucks for me because the AFC has just become the most stacked it's ever been. So it's going to be a lot harder for my team to get back to the Super Bowl. I know
Yeah.
it's not going to be this year. I know it's not going to be this year. This is unrelated, but if they just win a playoff game, go to the playoffs, win another playoff game, I'd be satisfied with that. Considering
One
they're just
thing you
coming
gotta
up.
remember is that Joe Burrow is that guy. He is that guy.
Yeah, I
Yes,
thought
that
about
guy.
that. I feel like he still has some developing to do because he did throw a bunch of bad interceptions during the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
So if he keeps getting better, as long as he doesn't decline like
Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky or Jared Goff did, then yeah, I think you're right. But back
Yeah.
to what we were talking about. A lot after or before Matt Ryan, I think this was the second. Russell Wilson was the first big one, and then I think the last trade that we're going to talk about is Captain Carson Wentz to the Washington Commies. Yes, we're going to call them that because I mean they're
It's
asking
funny.
for it. They're asking for it with their name. Well, I mean, what else do you say other than his career is over? His
It
best
is.
years are behind him. His last true shot at winning was with the Colts, and he blew that. And now he's going to a dead team, a dead franchise. And
Yeah.
because you just look at the past, this is where quarterbacks go to die, along with Cleveland.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
man.
Carson Wentz, your career is over, buddy. You're basically Joe Flacco at this point. You're the new Joe Flacco.
Yeah. When you see a notification on your phone that says a quarterback has signed with the Washington Commies, you just go, "Oh no, it's over."
Yep,
Yep,
their
that's
career's
it.
over.
Yeah.
There's no, your best years are behind you.
Yeah, and like you can see it. Kirk Cousins got away from the Commies, and he's only gotten better. It's absolutely true, but yeah, I've heard Carson Wentz is like a pretty bad locker room presence too. Like
Yeah,
he kind of
I've
brings
heard that.
down the atmosphere.
He's really
Um,
arrogant, I heard.
yeah, which I didn't get from him when he had his like MVP season or close to it with the Eagles, when they won the Super Bowl that year. But something changed, or maybe he was always like that, and he just wasn't acting arrogant and bad in the locker room because they were succeeding.
True.
But yeah, I don't feel bad for him essentially, and he was also part of NDSU, and obviously,
Blech.
I'm not gonna like really root for anybody from
We
NDSU that hard.
gotta take our shots there.
Yeah,
But is there any other trades or free agent signings that you guys want to talk about? Because I'm up on my agenda.
I guess maybe just to quickly talk about the other trades that happened, like the kind of medium, small trades that happen. I guess so. Technically, that Devontae Adams thing, that was a trade. The Packers, I
That's
don't
true.
remember what they got. They
They
did get
got
a pretty
first
decent
and a
haul.
second. That I remember.
Yeah,
They
at
got a
least a
first
first
and
and
a
a
second
second.
from the Raiders.
So yeah, that is a pretty big deal for the Packers. That Aaron Rodgers, like, top receiver now is like Alan Lazard. So like the Packers have to have an answer in the draft, or maybe there's a free agent they can go after. And speaking of the AFC West, the Chargers, they traded for Khalil Mack. So that helps them out with Mack being.
They're really god awful run defense, which is their Achilles heel last year. My laptop just froze 2 times in like 5 minutes. What the hell is wrong with this thing? Well,
Are we clear? Are we good?
yeah, it's on my end, which is shitty because I'm the one recording, so they're not gonna catch any of that. They're just gonna see you guys in your face freeze positions.
Okay, so I do have a page up of like additional trades, and I wasn't entirely listening to what you were saying, Brett, so sorry if I repeat some, but like I think you just mentioned Amari Cooper, right?
Yeah, I was just about to say Cowboys traded them to the Browns, so yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's a terrible trade for the Cowboys.
Obviously,
they get a
fifth.
5th and 6th rounder for Amari Cooper. What is going on with that?
It must have been his contract because I know
Yeah.
he had a massive
Yeah.
cap hit. And see, a lot of times when the team trades, it's not just about the player what the player's worth. It's like when you trade them, you have to take on their contract too, or pay the rest of their
Yeah.
contract. And when teams have really bad contracts, then they're going to take less capital. Like, why would I give up something just to get a shitty contract? Like, the Broncos and Panthers traded traded Teddy Bridgewater last year. Like, Teddy Bridgewater got traded to the Broncos. I think Teddy Bridgewater's but I still think he's better than a 6th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
he had a really bad contract that he signed with Carolina. So the Broncos only gave him a 6 because they had to take on that awful contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I get that, definitely. I don't know if you mentioned this one, Brett, but Khalil Mack with the Chargers
Yep.
now.
Yep.
Obviously, that's pretty big for the Chargers. Then we've got Robert Woods to the Titans. Kind of an
That's
interesting move.
Yeah, I think the Titans only gave up a 5th or 6th round pick as well, and then the AFC getting stronger as well in that
God
trade,
damn
I
it, you
guess.
guys are so lucky to be in such a weak conference this year.
Yeah.
I mean, Cincinnati was in the shitty conference last year. So
Yeah.
I guess we got to trade.
And it says the Patriots traded guard Shaq Mason to the Buccaneers, which the people
yeah.
on this site say is an A+ trade for Tampa Bay and a D- trade for New England.
What did New
So,
England get in return?
They got a 5th rounder.
Well, that's probably why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Shaq Mason's like a Pro Bowl level kind of talent at guard. I don't know why New England only
I know
got
why
a 5th
Tampa
round
did
pick.
it, because Alex Kappa went to Cincinnati, so they need to replace him.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh my
I don't
God.
know.
Yeah, the 4th best guard in football last year, according to Pro Football Focus.
Damn.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
yeah.
I was just gonna add, this is a stupid note, but like last year the Vikings traded a 4th round pick to the Jets for Chris Herndon as like their tight end number 2. So like the Bucks gave up less for like a Pro Bowl level guard than the Vikings did for a tight end number 2. So
Yeah, it's interesting. And then I can't remember if I already said this one, but I'll just say it again. The Raiders traded Yannick Ngakoue to the Colts.
They did. I didn't know about that.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
When did that
oh
happen?
yeah. Oh yeah, that started near the start of free agency or a couple days
God.
after, and then the Raiders signed Chandler Jones to replace him. So yeah,
Oh yeah, that
Goddamn,
was a
look
big
at that
one.
defensive line. That Colts
Yeah.
defensive line is what? Yannick Ngakoue, Darius Leonard, Kwity Paye, and DeForest Buckner.
Yeah, the Colts are
Damn.
good.
Yeah, that's
They're
a
good,
stacked
yeah.
D line.
But yeah, I completely forgot to talk about the Chandler Jones thing. I was really hoping the Vikings would get him. I remember when he was about to sign with somebody, he like posted an Instagram picture of him in the Vikings stadium, and so we got super excited, Vikings Nation. But I mean, we obviously got Zadarius Smith at the end of the day, so
Yeah.
yeah.
True.
And then I remember there were also talks that the Vikings would get Jadeveon Clowney at one point.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be good for player wise, but I hate that guy. So
Because he roughed up Burrow all the
yeah,
time.
he was a dick.
Yeah.
He liked getting fights with our offensive linemen too. Like, I hated him.
But yeah, that's all I can really think of. So
Well,
I think
if that's it, then we'll wrap up here. Our next episode is going to be a bit of an anomaly. Not really, but what we plan on doing is doing an episode of the entire first round of the NFL draft. So yes, but yeah, other than that, we will see you on the next episode of JTB Sports covering the NFL draft. See ya.